Hi everyone, welcome back to Cam's Tech Talk, and today we are going to share something really new. But for me, I'm used to it because sometimes, as I mentioned a few times, I do weekend sessions with 1-to-1 or sometimes 2 people or sometimes 3 people depending on where are you. So I'm going to start some other learning sessions from today onwards, and there will be a lot more coming. And technically, this is my first interaction with the people who are learning Salesforce, who are already in Salesforce and they want to explore multiple things, how it works, how we roll out these things in business basically. And today's topic we're going to cover is data security. There will be 4 to 5 members joining a call with me, and stay tuned. I'm not going to post the whole class, it's just a heads up guys, as I run these sessions, and I will start soon the live, and we're going to talk a lot and more interacting with the people who are already messaging me. Guys, I get tons of messages. Thank you so much that trusting me and working closer with me, and keep sending me ideas. So stay tuned. I will be back soon with the whole with the session, not the whole session, but with some bits and pieces what we cover and how we cover. So today's topic is data security, and obviously I'm not going to finish the data security in one session. There will be multiple sessions to go through this this whole practice, basically how we do what we do and why it is actually important in the business. Okay, so first of all, do you guys know what data security is? That's first question. If you don't know, it's fine. I will tell you what data security is. Have you all seen Salesforce interface?
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Salesforce interface.
So you all seen, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you haven't seen Salesforce, you must have seen the Excel sheet, okay? So Microsoft Excel has a data, right? And when we talk about data, is any type of data. It can be your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, web forms, you submit data from anywhere, like any online thing. And Salesforce is a portal. The main things people use Salesforce is to make visibility, make make sharing. So it's a collaboration tool as well, because so people can come and collaborate, right? But the major role is how we create a visibility, because it's not about visibility, is not about that security only. Sometimes a visibility is, let's say I am a help desk user. Why do I need to see third line people data on my screen? Because it's creating unnecessary visibility for me. So which I'm going to give you one example here. If you can see Salesforce, and I simply go to case object, okay? So I will start from here. So when I go to case object, and I can see following list views. So all open, billing, my case, it's so much. Now, if I'm not from billing, do I want to see billing? No. If I am from support, I only want to see support related. I don't want to see billing, because it's an unnecessary work for me. You getting my point? Yeah. So this is the reason.
Yes.
Security 1, second visibility, third is roles. Okay. Again, there are more things, but let's cover it one by one. Okay. I'm going back to my data security. First of all, let's understand what data security is. So now that you know how to add users in Salesforce, you have already seen, right? And how we need to make sure now that these users can see what they need to be, okay? What level of data they need. So you got object, you got records, you got field, and you got the whole org, right? Which is obviously organization level. So we call every tenant, so which is this one. This is actually a single org. It's a very like a local terminology. The word we use every time when we work on any Salesforce projects, we call it org, right? ORG, right? So any organization, because this organization has roles, profiles, permissions, sharing, other criteria to manage different levels, reporting. So this is a single tenancy, single org where people can chip in and they can start looking at the data. Okay. Then object. So you know what object is. So I just showed you one object case, right? So now again, so I have a sales user, I have service users, I have maybe sales agents, I have a only people who does contracting, which means my legal department. They only review the contract, but they don't. All they want to see contract, account, contact. That's it. They don't want to see anything else, right? Maybe they want to see opportunity, but then do I want to show all the objects to them? Maybe their limit is little small basically as well. Okay, so now again it's actually the business scenario. So every level of security, when you define into the business, you need to see where the business is, how many different departments, do they have global sitting, or are they only work national level, right? And then if they are national level, how many cities? Do they have departments in each city, right? So it's basically kind of a, like understanding how do I want to define a security. It's end of the day, it's all about visibility, roles, hierarchy, and what we want to share, right? Now, what exactly in a small picture? So when we talk org level, if you can see my screen now, it says IP range and login levels. Again, this is a basic information. What I'm covering at the minute is a very basic step, and how it works you need to understand. When I say IP range, I want to secure my network. I don't want people to log into Salesforce outside my network, right? So it even comes down to your personal as well. Like for example, my Salesforce, I can only log in from my house. If I'm trying to log in from any other house and that IP is not added into my Salesforce org, it will not work. Okay, so that's a security, right? Then you can also restrict user with the login hours. So this user based in UK can only work 9 to 6. If this user trying to log in after 6, it won't work. It will log out. It's another level of security, right? Then you got profile. So object access, it works very high level on a profile base, right? Again, recently I told you about help desk, and so help desk, let's say IT support, and you have customer services. IT support only wants to see IT support related. Customer support wants to see only customer support related. And then you have sales. Sales wants to see only leads. They don't want to see case objects, right? So do you understand this difference? Like what is lead, what is case, and what is customer services? Do you guys know this thing? Am I too fast? Or are you guys getting what I'm trying to explain? The different scenarios?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But feel free to stop me if you don't get it. Okay? Because each level of data security, it's actually works with roles and profile. That's the main one. Okay? So top level is org, then we have object, then we have record level as well. Right? That is, sorry, 1 second. I think I've got one more joining. Okay, just one moment. Okay. Hi, Maggie.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm late for 5-10 minutes.
No,
I'm
that's
traveling, actually.
that's okay. Yeah, we what we are doing actually, we are just covering the levels of data access, right? And yeah, so we are on this level. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. Let's just carry on. So org level is the top level where I can restrict people with IP range, right? So IP range means each company, I don't know if you heard about VPN. So which means people use VPN connection to log into their laptops, and then they get access through the trusted IPs. So you have public IPs, you have local IPs, okay? And then what people do is in the Salesforce, they provide that level of access from here. So if I can show you, like when you go here and you go to profile, I don't know if it's going to come into profile. I think the easy way is permissions. It's somewhere. Sometimes I don't find things very easily when I'm looking for, and you have to create new one. But don't worry, I will show you in a minute. So we're gonna do that in detail. But there is a setting basically where you can work with profile and permission sets, where you define the login range, IP ranges and login hours. Okay, so you can define these things on. So let's say you have multiple profiles, and which profile you want to give access, the login hours or IP range, you can add permissions on top of it. Okay, we will discuss that later in detail, but let's just overview the main thing first. Okay, so object, sales user and IT support user. Sales user wants to see leads, IT support user wants to see support. That's the big difference. Okay, so they don't want to see multiple objects. So even when I'm on developer account, I think Salesforce did something. So if I type sales here and I go to sales app, and normally I don't see case here. If you can see, oh, it must be me added it. But normally if you are creating a new org, they only show opportunity, leads, task, file, account and contact, and maybe sometimes campaign up to reporting. Okay, they normally do not show the cases, because cases is a part of normally services. So same as when I go to service here, and you won't see the leads when you really working on the real time. So look, so this is actually I was expecting on sales, but obviously I must have done some changes because I'm carry on working on this developer. So look at here, you can't see anything related to sales stuff here. So only chatter, account, cases, reports and dashboard, because you don't need products, you don't need leads, you don't need quoting tool, you don't need contract life cycle or anything like that. Okay, so this is basically making ease for the users who are working daily basis, and honestly speaking, some users, they don't want to see lot of stuff on their environment. Okay, they just want to the point and what my job is, and I want to do it. It's up to us as a UI, user interface, how we define. So it can be business analyst, or sometimes you have a user interface people in the business, or sometimes operations managers, they define these things, that what my employee want to see in Salesforce. Okay, so as a admin or as a developer, you have to ask these questions. Guys, I'm creating this profile, what is your expectation? You always ask question to the business, or to the business analyst, or to the functional team members, or maybe architect. So whenever they're giving you any task as a developer or admin, you need to ask, all right guys, I'm creating this profile, who is the top? What do you want to see? What objects you want me to share? So maybe you need to give them training, and they will know how it works basically. Okay, some people know these things, some people don't know, especially when you go to admin world. In UK, in Europe, admin jobs are more than India, because India has more developer jobs, less admin. But in Europe or America, you have more and more admin jobs. They always struggle with developers basically. It's just the way it is. Okay, and then field level access. So now this is very good one. I can give you one example. Let's say I have a leads object, right? So this is let's go to leads object from here. Okay, so let's open a lead, and first of all, you know what lead is. It's basically a new person contacted by a company, where we need to make a deal as a company. Okay, now I don't want all of my sales team to convert to manage this field. Okay, and because this is web to lead, when somebody submit a form on my website, okay, it automatically updates. So purchase list, So these let's say these are my different forms, and I don't want any of my sales agent to make changes on this field. Okay, but I want only 2 sales agents. They are also a marketing people as well. I want only them to make that change. So you guys are done. You guys must have done little bit Trailhead. So tell me, how do you achieve this between profile and permission? So my scenario is, listen carefully, my scenario is lead source field. I have 10 sales agents. Only 2 sales agents can make a change, but 8 sales agents, they have read only this field. How do you achieve this? Who can answer it?
Sir, we can achieve this by making a profile and assign the user to particular profile.
Right, okay, that's one answer. Second person?
You can create a permission
set. One second, one by one. Let's go one by one. So Himangi, go on.
Okay. You can create the permission sets, because for all the user, read access is mandatory. So one profile will contain read. So only you want to give edit write access for that. So through permission set for these 2 users, you can give the write access.
Okay, so okay, Kapil said profile. So you said only permission set, yeah?
Like one profile and then one common profile for all the 10 users,
okay,
and permission sets for 2 users.
Right, okay, that's the second answer. What's your answer, Meenakshi?
The same permission we can assign in 2 person, that credit permission, create, read, create, read, edit and delete permission.
Okay.
To 2 profiles, rest all 10. Yes.
That's fine. Okay, and Sapna, what's your thoughts? You're mute if you're talking. I think we maybe lost her. Sapna? Yeah, okay, don't worry. I think we maybe lost her. So, yes, so just to let you know, it's hierarchy level, okay? So when we assign a permission level from any levels, profile and permissions, they work together, because profile is a top level and you can feed the permissions. So let's say you can create small permissions basically to manage the profile. Yes. So one profile for all the salespeople who can see and make this field read only. Then you push a profile to only those 2 users. Push a permission sets on that for those 2 users, and that will create kind of exception. So those 2 users can make changes on that one field, which is we are talking about lead source. Okay. Sometimes 2 fields, for example, website as well. Sometimes only 1 field, depending on it, how management or business wants to deal with it. Okay, that's very good answer. Thank you. So this is what actually a very big picture. It's a basic of role and hierarchy. Okay, so guys, next is all about Trailhead. So you know me, actually I always work with Trailhead. The reason I always bring Trailhead in a picture, because you get updated information from Salesforce all the time. Okay, I don't miss Trailhead, and I don't create normally many PowerPoint slides because of this thing, because no point, because if I'm not giving you like correct information or updated information, there is no point creating multiple slides. So slides can be a history, but this data on Trailhead is always updated. Okay, I will share with you, this is actually the whole set of data security, where it comes how the security works, what are the controls involved, what is field access, what is record level access, and what is role hierarchy. Okay, so in a very high level, what is the difference between roles versus profile, and what's the generic term that company use, and what's their main concern? I will start here, but maybe if it's too much, we can cover in our maybe next sessions, because because we still need to configure these things. We need to see how these things can be achievable as well. Okay, so here is the difference. So roles, they're helping and defining the data visibility. Profiles sets the limit of what user can do in the organization, right? So defining the data visibility. So do you understand the difference between data and user? I think it's a big difference, right? So user is a user who logging in and what user can see. Then on top of that, I want to make a data visibility access, okay? So there are many ways you define these things. We will cover. Okay, yeah, sorry. That's okay, Sapna. I got your message. Thank you. So I think she's got mic issues. So fine. Right. So next one is role defines what user data a user can see based on hierarchy. So what is hierarchy I'm talking about? This is the business hierarchy. I gave you one example, sales user and visibility. And you achieve that functionality via profile and permission set. Now, can you achieve that same functionality via roles? Anyone can tell me the answer? Say no. It's okay. Yes, you can, right? Again, roles and profiles, it's limited with different businesses. If I'm talking about 10 users, 15 users, up to 50 users, it's easier to manage via profiles and permission sets. But when we talk about enterprise client, okay, enterprise client means they have a global base. Okay, we talk about they have one office in UK, second office in America, India, Singapore, different locations, and they have multiple levels as well. So they have a operations head, then they have a manager, then they have team lead, then they have that team lead wants to see two different departments, but then both departments have a different access. So for example, customer services, then you have a technical team, and then maybe you have a billing team as well, right? So which means you have 3 different queues, but so you have agents. So I'm talking about this vision. This is actually a normal screenshot from Trailhead again. But what I'm trying to say, when it comes down to multiple levels, then how you make that data visible, it's actually the approach is roles and data sharing. Then profile is only handling the object visibility, not the whole data sharing. So guys, don't get confused now. I know I'm a bit confusing you. 5, 10, 15 to 20 users. It's easy to maintain that level of Salesforce org, or maybe sometimes up to 50 users, because they don't have the complex data visibility environment. Okay, they want to keep it simple. All they want is 4 profiles and make sure everyone can see. There are little bits and pieces here and there. They want to manage the structure of visibility with permissions. You can do it. And it's easily manageable. But sometimes people do use groups as well. Okay, so now, but we're talking about roles and profiles here. So data visibility is possible via profiles and permissions, plus you can also manage with roles and subordinates as well into there. Plus the limit is not there. Then after roles you have sharing rules, right? After sharing rules, you also have a public groups as well, where you can manage data very differently. The bigger impact happen when you're creating reports. So again, today's chapter, I'm only going through the big bullet points, the high level, right? So first one, roles. Second one is profile. That's the main. Then you got next category is sharing rules, public groups, right? And I think subordinates as well. Okay, so there are multiple things will happen. Then you have apex level sharing rules, which is developers can do as well. Okay, so you can create apex level as well. Okay, that we're not gonna touch it. I'm not a developer, but I will see if I can get any developer who can train us basically on that one for you guys. But we'll see that later on. Okay, so I'm coming back to here. Profile defined permissions. This is we just covered. Okay, so defining role to user is always mandatory. The reason we make mandatory because we want to see the hierarchy levels. Okay, so which is obviously we follow this model. So whenever we create a user, the role is important. Okay, that's actually on Salesforce level. Go on, Kapil.
Sir, suppose there is a hierarchy level, then we use roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there is a hierarchy of any business, then we will go for roles. And if there is a small business, there is a limited user, then we will go for profiles. Is it?
It's almost correct, but it's all about how complex their requirement is. But my experience, it's been more than 17 years. The answer is almost correct, but it depends on complexity as well, right? Because I have seen 100 user organization and they have only 5 profiles and they want to work only on profile and permission model. That's it. But I have seen companies have 200 users, but they have very complex environment because they have multiple departments working and they want to manage with roles only. They don't want to work on profiles because it doesn't work for them. And they also want public roles because there are too many notifications going outside to other team members who doesn't even have access to Salesforce. Okay, so it all depends on company, but small business, your answer is almost correct. And obviously I said the same thing based on my experience.
Sir, here it comes on object level or what? Because profile is on object.
Yes.
And role is for
data.
Like date on what? Like it is on data, people, what it is.
So role works on data level.
Okay, it's on data.
Yes.
Got it.
Right. So yeah, it's basically, you know, how we, so mainly, you know, when you look at the reporting side, this is where the focus is, what visibility we have created. Okay, so it all depends how you know, like obviously you haven't seen how we assign these roles, how we assign. You must have seen only profiles and permissions, but you haven't seen the roles in advance. I can show you one example, very small example here. So for example here, when we create a list view, so let's go to cases. Okay, so and here, so let's go to billing. Okay, and I come back here, sharing settings. Okay, so only I can see, all users can see, sharing list with users groups here. Okay, so now how I want to manage this here is, you can see the list views, right? But I want to limit the list views. How can I limit those? The only way to limit those is via roles and subordinates. So this is where I have to define everything, who can see those levels, right? So when we say roles and subordinates, it's talking about that level of hierarchy, and we define this hierarchy is this level. So when I go to the roles, where is the settings, and I go to roles and here, okay, and this is where, click here and look, expand all this. So obviously, so technically, look at this here. So this is exactly, I think, the same hierarchy I was showing you. So these are the subordinates at the bottom. Okay, so if I collapse this, so no one can see. Now, do I want to make it visible to only this team, customer support international? Yes, you can, but then this person can still able to see what this guy is doing, But the North America people, customer support North America, they won't be able to see what these guys are doing, because this is a top, SVP is a top, and further these two are the bottom, right? You have to give them separate access or add these guys separately, otherwise these three teams won't be able to see each other's data as a list view, because we are restricting them. And same thing applies at reporting, because reporting only manage via roles only. You can't manage reporting via profiles. So you do need to work parallel on profiles. Profile will only at object level, or sometimes it's a field level, read access or write access kind of stuff. But when you're making reporting on data show, because you need to show data, that only works with the roles. I hope I'm making little sense now, yeah?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Got it.
Yeah. And you know what? In interview,
Yes.
this is the main question. What's the difference? If you can even answer one line from here for interview, you rest your case. You will be pass. And give one example at reporting. So you will pass your interview. So just say, I need to manage the reporting data. I have to share it. So majority of time your interview is cleared with this roles and profile stuff. They always ask this question. And second question is very compulsory, which is workflow and process builder. They normally come. Okay. So, right. Now we can discuss. If you guys have any questions, then maybe in the next one we will cover the next lecture, how we create, how we assign, and how it works. Okay. So anything, Kapil, Himanki, Minakshi. I know Sapna is facing problem.
Third slide. I just want to confirm which is what one. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Object is always profile, process, profile and permissions. Permission is also object access, right? Because we are just extending that. So it should be object.
Yeah, it can go to field level as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go to field level based on complexity. Yes.
Okay, and there is field access, that is field level access. Okay, sir, got it.
Yeah.
And what OWD is org level, that is IP range.
Yeah, that we haven't discussed yet properly. OWD is actually yeah, that's a good question, but I haven't covered it yet. So we will cover OWD in a separate, because OWD in detail, because it can easily confuse you, because it's actually a separate topic again.
Yeah, sometimes they ask question in even admin certification if some opportunity team wants to see that opportunity. So by assigning that, they want that account teams have that permissions, that object settings CRED. So if they can see that data. They have asked many times that same question. Opportunity teams have access to accounting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. They ask a lot of questions regarding. I'm telling you, admin exams is basically it's everything, because they do the touch base on everything, but not in depth. So that's actually a good exam, to be honest, to cover that. So right. So okay. So that's, as I said, this is actually what we covered is only the basic of how we're going to work on step by step. So what I want to do, when I finish anything, I want to cover only 15 minutes regarding that topic. So let's say next topic when we pick, shall we pick roles first or shall we pick profile? What do you want to do first, guys? So I can then start from there.
Roles.
Profile.
What's the voting?
Majority goes profile.
Sorry, we're gonna cover everything. Let's pick up. Sorry, Minakshi, what did you say?
So I said only profiles.
Okay, next time. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So thank you guys, and let's stay in touch, and let's refresh our knowledge, and we work on it, and we will do the practical session next time. Okay.
Thank you for such a good
sir.
section, sir.
You're welcome. Any question before we leave? Anyone?
Nothing at my side.
Okay then.
No. So I have one question.
Go on.
For example, you have a ID for a Salesforce org for your org, and I have also ID for my Salesforce org, and I want to connect this both ID both orgs. So it is possible.
You can use one email ID to many different orgs, but make sure your username is different. So I can show you the trick here. So when you go to users, this is how I usually do everywhere. Whenever I create a new org, because I want to restrict. So for example, this one, if you can see, I'm opening this one. You can see my email address is this, but my username is this.
Okay. So sir, what I want to do is to make you standard user.
Yes.
Okay, and use your username so that you can also access in my org. So it's like
Oh no.
connecting
One
to
second. Sorry, 1 second. I thought your question is related to developer. So let me clarify both questions. So you are saying you have org1 and org2, right?
Okay.
So if you have access to org1 as a username, user1, and org2, you can't have same username for org2. You can't access both orgs with the same username.
Of course, sir.
Right? That's one thing. And in developer org, you can have maximum 2 users. And you can only play with either system admin or standard user. Correct?
Okay.
Right?
So,
but if you want
yeah.
to create 5 different playgrounds in Salesforce, like this is a playground, like this particular org, you can keep single email on each org just to manage it, and make sure your username should be different.
Yeah. But what I want to do is I want to give permission to your org to contact with my org.
No, you can't.
Access
You can't.
We can't do
No,
that. No?
that's a security breach. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, if you want to give me access to your org, you can create a new user for me. You can't use this user, but you can create my name with, so maybe let's say my username on your org will be ksmataru.dev2, right? And email address same.
Same.
Right? So which means I have a separate access to your org.
Okay.
Right? And you can make me activate temporarily if you need me to verify anything. Then you can deactivate me later on if you're going to do testing with your own standard users, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, we do it all the time. I do it because I give access sometimes my org to people, because when you're working, creating different things. So let's say I want to show something to my friends or developers, where I'm working in the office and I want to share. So I normally create user for that person and I give them access as a system admin. Hey, look at my org. Have a look. What do you think? I give them temporary access. They check it, and once they finish their work, I deactivate them and I come back to my org. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's good.
yeah, you can actually do it, but little bit differently. Not that you can't use the same user, basically. That's what. Okay. So it's a tip for all of you guys, whoever is working on multiple Trailhead accounts. I know sometimes it's very hard to manage. So simply when you go to that particular org, make sure whatever username is there, note down, and you can use this common email address for each org. Try to use common email address. It's basically, life will be very easy for you guys to manage these things.
Yes, sir.